The 15th Doctor's era of Doctor Who has some of the worst ratings in the entire show's 60 plus year history. So, is the show gonna get cancelled, or what can we expect from here? I'm gonna answer all of this stuff and more in this video, and yeah, basically we're gonna look into the actual ratings of this season and put some numbers to the claims and the views. So let's get into this video right now. But just before we get into the video, if you like Doctor Who content, whether that be Doctor Who reviews like merchandise reviews or episode reviews, or you just like Doctor Who news and leaks and loads of other bits and pieces, then this is the channel for you. So hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications, and smash a like on this video if you want more Doctor Who content on this channel. And if you guys want it, I'm gonna do it. So yeah, hit that subscribe button, smash a like on this video, and let's get into this whole video, because this is gonna be a pretty interesting video. So yeah, the 15th Doctor's era has undoubtedly had some very bad ratings. Now, some fans have sort of gone against it and gone, oh, the ratings don't matter, the ratings don't mean anything. And some fans have gone kind of crazy and gone, Doctor Who's dead, it's never coming back, it's gonna get cancelled. I don't think either of them are correct, and I'm going to say why in this video. But let's go ahead and have a little look at the ratings themselves. So, here is our first screenshot, and we're going to go in order of the Doctors and read a little bit about the tenure, the whole eras and stuff like that. We're going to go over everything. So, first of all, we got Christopher Eccleston, because we are going to do the revival stuff, because I don't think it's fair to compare this against the classic things. It's got to be in its bubble of the 20 years which New Who has been around. So, let's do the entire modern Who era. So, we've got Christopher Eccleston, who had the overnight average of 7.72 million, which is decent. Consolidated average of 7.95 million. And a plus 0.22 on catch-up increase. So, looking at this, it's a fairly decent era. These are good numbers to set the benchmark by. So, let's have a little look into this. So it says, Christopher Eccleston had one job: prove the Doctor Who could work again in a modern era. Rose launched with nearly 10 million overnight views, and his short run averaged just under 8 million live viewers per episode. This is really good. Yeah. Doctor Who was a smash hit success. So let's have a little look into this again. The bump from catch-up was minimal because in 2005, hardly anyone time shifted their TV. This was a mass audience broadcast show in the traditional sense. Everybody watched it live, which is definitely true. In this era, catch-up really didn't play much of a part in the era, so yeah. Next screenshot. Eccleston's 13 episodes delivered a total of over 100 million total viewers. And it says here, total viewers were calculated by multiplying the consolidated average for each era by the number of episodes aired. So this provides a consistent, if sampled, way to compare the overall audience reach across eras in terms of consistency and scale. His single series stands as a textbook example of mid-2000s mainstream success. So yeah, over 100 million, fucking solid, I've got to say. Let's move on to the next piece right here. David Tennant. Now, as you can see, he had the overnight average of 7.88 million, consolidated average of 8.35 million, and a catch-up increase of 0.48 million. So, looking quite good. David Tennant's ratings slightly improved on Eccleston's in almost every metric. The show retained its Saturday night momentum, and the modest growth in catching up viewers, plus 0.48 million, reflected early changes on viewer behaviour. His era benefited from the new rising iPlayer usage and loyal family audience, still largely tuning in live. So, next screenshot. With 47 episodes and a total viewership of nearly 393 million, Tennant's first era remains the high watermark in both scale and average viewership. This was Doctor Who at its broadest and most consistent popularity. Yeah, this shows 393 million. I'd be very interested to see what Ncuti's era did compared to that, because I have a feeling it's not going to be anywhere near it, and it probably isn't going to scrape the barrel, and this is just me showing raw figures. These are just numbers, and you can't really argue with the actual numbers. So, yeah. We then get my favourite era of Doctor Who, the Matt Smith era, which got a overnight average of 6.11 million and a consolidated average of 7.98 million, and a catch-up increase of plus 1.87 million. This is the best we've seen on catch-up so far. Makes sense. I used to binge these episodes on iPlayer all the time, so... And you'd literally rewatch the episodes. The episodes would come out on Saturday, you'd look for the rebroadcasts, you would rewatch on iPlayer, so many things, like, as a Doctor Who fan, that you used to do, which just doesn't happen anymore. Matt Smith's arrival marked the start of a new phase. Lower live numbers, but far stronger gains in delayed viewing. The audience was not shrinking, it was shifting. A near 2 million catch-up bump on average shows how quickly the viewing landscape had changed. Very, very true. As you can see, the catch-up increase had massively improved. In fact, you could say that this is, again, nigh on par with the Tennant era. And it really felt like that too. You could just feel it in the community. Despite lower overnights, Smith's average total audience remained just under 8 million per episode. His 44 episode run reached over 350 million viewers overall, proving that the show's popularity had held steady even as broadcasting habits evolved. So the broadcasting habits had started to drastically evolve here. And that's one of the main arguments that people say nowadays. Broadcasting habits have changed, so it's had an effect on the Ncuti Gatwa numbers. It had an effect on the Matt Smith numbers. The only difference is there wasn't an overall drop-off. There wasn't a considerable drop-off from the Tennant to the Matt Smith era, because these numbers are pretty similar, if you ask me. The Peter Capaldi era. This era was from 2014 to 2017. The overnight average was 4.55 million, the consolidated average was 6.42 million, and the catch-up increase was 1.87 million. Still going strong. Peter Capaldi took over during a clear transitional moment for television. His overnight ratings dropped further than Smith's, but the catch-up viewing remained robust. In fact, his average catch-up was identical to Smith's, suggesting that the shift in behaviour was baked in. With over 40 episodes, Capaldi drew more than 250 million loyal viewers. So, it is a drop, While the scale was reduced from earlier years, his average per episode audience still compares favourably with many contemporary drama series. So, as you can see, Capaldi's era was still doing very well for the show. So next up, the Jodie Whittaker era. The overnight average was 4.68 million, the consolidated average was 6.13 million, and the catch-up increase was plus 1.45 million. The Jodie Whittaker run began with over 10 million consolidated viewers, but quickly settled into a more modest average. Her era saw a continued reliance on catch-up though the gains were slightly lower than Capaldi's. So this is where you see the drop-off starting to come in. Across 31 episodes, Whittaker reached a total of around 190 million viewers. While the audience was smaller, she maintained a core base, and her average per episode still placed Doctor Who among one of BBC's stronger dramas during her run. Then we have the David Tennant 60th anniversary era. The consolidated average were 4.84 million. The overnight average was 4.84 million. The consolidated average 7.2 million. The catch-up increase was 2.36 million. So we're looking at a bit of an increase from the Whittaker era, which is to be expected with David Tennant returning. David Tennant's returns drew strong viewership for the 2023 special, suggesting continued public interest when the show is positioned as a television event, despite overnight viewers that were in line with recent trends, rather than earlier peaks. Each special saw a substantial catch-up increase, averaging over 2.3 million viewers, the highest of any era. Though its brevity limits meaningful comparison with standard series runs. In just 3 episodes, Tennant drew more than 21 million viewers. In 3 episodes, that's pretty damn good. While too small a sample to compare directly with the full series, the numbers demonstrate that an appetite for the Doctor Who remained strong when the occasion felt significant. So it shows that people did come back for Tennant. Then we have the recent Ncuti Gatwa era, 2023 to 2025. The overnight average was 2.34 million, the consolidated average was 3.8 million, and the catch-up increase was 1.46 million, so definitely a drop-off since the David Tennant era. Statistically, Ncuti Gatwa's tenure marks the lowest rated era in modern Who. After a strong debut in the Christmas special The Church on Ruby Road with 7.49 million, the rest of the run had a sharp drop-off with overnights, mostly between 1.5 and 2.6 million, and the consolidated figures ranging from 2.7 to 4.1 million. Catch-up viewing remained essential, adding around 1.5 million viewers to each episode. Across 18 episodes, Gatwa's era reached a total audience of approximately 68.4 million episodes, which is pretty abysmal, I'm not gonna lie, considering Ncuti Gatwa did 18 and David Tennant did 3. David Tennant pulled 21 million and Ncuti pulled 68.4 million. So as you can see, that is a significant down from previous eras, both in scale and consistency. While the show retained a reliable audience, it no longer commands the mainstream attention it once did. Very true, I'm not gonna lie. The Catwalk years reflect not only a shift in habits but a reduction in reach. A show still followed by, but on a far smaller stage. I would agree with this. I would ultimately agree with this because Doctor Who definitely retains its main fan base, who will practically watch no matter what happens, because we had a love for the show. It was part of our childhood. It was such a big part of our lives that we can't help but watch. We want to see how it's getting on. We want to see if it's improving. We want to see episodes of Doctor Who. But the casual audience has definitely gone down and definitely decreased by a good portion, and this is evident in the numbers. So, yeah. With all of this said, I actually don't think the Doctor Who is getting cancelled. Yes, the numbers don't look very good, but you have to remember that it's still a well-performing show for the BBC. If the BBC cuts Doctor Who, then they essentially are cutting off their highest earning show. It's definitely one of the biggest shows to come out of the UK, and its legacy holds a massive impact. Look how many fans are watching who didn't really enjoy these new eras but just watched because it's Doctor Who, because they respect the previous work and want to watch anyway. So yeah, Doctor Who I don't think is going to be axed completely. I think it's going to take a short break and then come back with a different streaming deal, potentially for Amazon Prime or HBO. If you want to know a little bit more about that, I did a full video on it recently, so go ahead and check out that video if you haven't already. That video is online right now. So yeah, go ahead and check it out. And yeah, that's basically the end of this video, so thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment, like and subscribe as usual. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel and turn on them post notifications. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.